Assalamualaikum. How are you guys?
Alhamdulillah.
How's Raya? Okay.
Alhamdulillah.
Maybe you can start on the topic. Today we are discussing about Qurban.
So now it's Shawwal. After Shawwal comes Dhul Hijjah. The month of Qurban is in Dhul Hijjah, which is the 12th month in the Islamic calendar. So talking about Qurban actually means sacrifice. It also means offering. So it's actually a ritual in Islam. The purpose of sacrifice is actually for us to show our commitment to Allah SWT, how far we are willing to sacrifice. It's actually an ibadah which encompasses spiritual, social and also communal aspect. It's not only an ibadah for Allah SWT, but also an ibadah for other Muslims, other mankind. So both of you have ever physically handled or sacrificed an animal before for this?
For myself, I mean, for my experience, when I was small, I think my parents got bring me to see before. So that one traumatized a bit masih kecil. But also, Alhamdulillah, I think last year also, one of my clients invited me for their Qurban punya trip, which was at Cambodia. So and the experience along with participating in it although boleh slaughter yourself, but I think I'm not there yet, so I just tolong pegang.
Oh.
But Alhamdulillah, I think it was like another moment, new experience to actually really see it firsthand on the Qurban and also giving it out to the villagers.
Perhaps in the nearest opportunity, perhaps you want to try it yourself, so that you can be in the shoes of the Prophet of Allah SWT, Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, who in his dream he saw that Allah SWT commanded him to sacrifice his son. The name of his son is Prophet Ismail alayhi salam. So being a father, even though that's knowing that it's Allah's command, would you have the heart to sacrifice your own son, your offspring, a blessing, someone who you really, really love? Hence, this Qurban is a test from Allah SWT for His servants to see how far or how much can His servants sacrifice. Okay? So, every year millions of animals are being slaughtered. But do we Muslims actually know, actually understand why we do this Qurban? Hence, Qurban is not just a ritual that is mechanical. It is far beyond that. The spiritual significance is immense. So, coming back to the story of Prophet Ibrahim and Prophet Ismail alayhi salam, just as Prophet Ibrahim was about to slaughter his son Ismail, okay, Allah replaced Prophet Ismail with a ram, with an animal. Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, he passed his test that Allah SWT has given him. It shows that Prophet Ibrahim has ultimate obedience and trust in Allah SWT. We, in this era, are fortunate that we do not have to sacrifice our children. We have to sacrifice an animal. What are the animals that can be sacrificed? Yeah, sheep, camel, cow, basically farm animals that are permissible to be eaten in Islam. So, what is Qurban not about? It's not about showing off that we have wealth. It's not about showing off that we are pious and we are slaughtering an animal, not for social media, not just to tick another box during Idul Adha. Hence, if the knife that you hold cuts the animal but not your ego, actually you have missed the point. So it's an ibadah that symbolizes a lot of things. This animal is not just our money that we have to sacrifice. It extends beyond that. Our ego, our wealth, our status. How far are we willing to sacrifice for Allah SWT? Allah SWT actually wants to test Prophet Ibrahim to sacrifice the being that he loves most, which is his son. What are you holding onto more than Allah SWT? In today's context, where Qurban is being commercialized, how do you draw a line between ibadah and business?
That's a very tough question.
Ibadah and
Ibadah and business.
business.
Performing Qurban in today's age. Yeah.
I mean, of course, the simple answer will be dependent on our intention lah. The person who's doing the Qurban, like, I guess you're talking about on the perspective of the one who is offering the service,
Offering the service, correct?
not the purchaser lah.
No.
Yeah, so I think
Service.
offering the service of
Qurban. Okay.
yeah, because the person who's doing it, I mean, who's doing the Qurban is technically not, he's not paying, well, he's not earning from it, right?
It's not
Because
earning.
you
It's
are
an obligation for him.
Yeah,
to
because you
follow
mentioned
the
about whether it's a business or ibadah. Yeah, so I mean, where I'm coming from is the business perspective will probably come from the one who is offering the service. Yeah, so I think whatever that you mentioned kind of resonates. Like makes me think like, do companies which offer these services, like, are they beyond? Are they after the proceeds from the Qurban, or is it generally part of the service of providing ibadah lah for the community? But ultimately, we are not in a position to question, or we can't even tell from outside.
Yeah.
In fact, I mean, after all, we are also offering such services to our contacts. I think so long as there's a reminder time to time of, like what you said, doing this not because people know we are wealthy, or people or give the impression that we are wealthy, or we are even pious. I think so long there's a reminder that we are doing this ibadah for Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala alone, I think inshallah we are doing the right thing lah. Yeah, so I mean, where business is concerned, I think we all know that there's so many providers out there.
Correct.
Yeah, and sometimes it can even boil down to just the price alone. Yeah, so just like even right before this podcast, I actually saw another posting that they're already sharing about this service that they're providing. So it's really interesting to see that sometimes price can be an important factor. So maybe that's why some people associate this thing to like business kind of thing, rather than just ibadah in that sense. But of course, without the price, we won't be able to tell how much it would cost lah.
Correct.
Yeah. For yourself, any thoughts about?
Well, I was thinking of, you mentioned what you mentioned about the thinking more beyond just the Qurban of the animal. So is it something that is time specific, like it's only the time for Qurban, or you can actually make a sacrifice out of the...
When you talk about Qurban, there's a specific month which I mentioned. It's the month of Dhul Hijjah, specifically on the day of Eidul Adha. In Singapore, it's 27th May, which is the 10th of Dhul Hijjah. And you can do Qurban throughout the 3 days of Tashriq. The 3 days of Tashriq, 3 consecutive days that comes after Eidul Adha. If we were to sacrifice an animal beyond these 4 days, it's actually not called Qurban. It is either you are performing Aqiqah, which is we sacrifice an animal as a way to give thanks or show our gratitude to Allah SWT, blessing us with offspring. Whereas, if besides that, if you were to sacrifice an animal, not Qurban and not Aqiqah, outside these 4 days, we are actually making sadaqah. Like we are trying to slaughter chicken or some other animal, and then cook this meat and serve it to people. It's sadaqah. It's not Qurban per se. Okay.
But is animals only the only thing you can sacrifice?
Yes, to perform Qurban,
Or the
it is
Qurban
only
is
animals.
Okay.
But it extends beyond that.
Yeah. Because that's why you mentioned like ego, wealth, and so on. Because I think when I was being mentored by my business mentors, so one of the exercise we did was to actually look at something, what is the thing that you love the most, and then there is something that whether we are willing to sacrifice it for the sake of Allah. So it can be anything something that you really like to do, right? So because it might be the thing that is still like you love more than Allah, because maybe you don't chase money. Maybe for some people is like it can be their certain addiction or certain things that they cannot let go, right? So trying to sacrifice that portion, and then trying to align back your life towards Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala lah. So I think that was something that kind of recalled me back to that lah. Like it's making a sacrifice in your life, but for the sake of Allah. Maybe some people like music, right? And then they want to really sort of, because it might always distract them from like performing ibadah, because you know they always delve into that. Some people maybe like to watch Netflix, watch movies.
Yeah,
Like
saying
what you said is true. I mean, because there was quite a few trying to connect to what's relevant to today. I mean, of course, Qurban still exists today.
Yeah.
I think the lesson to learn is sacrifice is needed in our daily lives. Technically, like for example, being here today is all three of us are sacrificing something.
correct.
Family time, like work appointments and all that. But what do we stand out of this is, inshallah later on, if we are able to advocate a more barakah related lifestyle in our community. I think that's what we want to achieve. Technically, without the sacrifice today, we may not achieve that in the future. So it's always a concept of opportunity cost in that sense. Like what exactly are we giving up today for what we see better tomorrow? I mean, in my field will be simple things like
For Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
yeah, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah lah. But where I'm coming from is if we talk about sacrifice in that sense.
So the key here that we can really relate the sacrificial animal that we are going to sacrifice. It's not the most beloved thing that for us, right? But if you were to trace it back to Prophet Ibrahim, Prophet Ismail, Prophet Ismail is perhaps the only being, the only thing that matters in his life. Hence, it is the most beloved. It is surely not easy to sacrifice something that we really, truly love. That's how Allah tests him whether he loves his son more or Allah SWT more.
Yeah, I think that was like the main lesson point for me, because macam the Qurban, maybe you can say to people maybe doesn't matter so much, like just bayar, then the animal is not even sort of no attachment to the animal that you're sacrificing at all also, right? So can be like really far off from what the Prophet Ibrahim had to go through. But yeah, at the same time, how do we make our Qurban better in that sense lah, like more barakah and more getting more rewards from it, rather than just become like an obligation. Okay, just berapa $100-$200 you pay and that's it, right? Because it's also an opportunity for you to get more rewards. Yeah.
So when we slaughter an animal from Qurban for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what happens after Qurban? We will distribute the meat. We can have some for ourselves. The practice is you either distribute 1/3 or you distribute 2/3. So you keep for yourself 1/3 or 2/3. Basically, you are actually performing ibadah for Allah. At the same time, you are helping others by bringing happiness, joy to their life. Because you never know, people in the third world country especially, eating meat is actually a luxury for them. We in Singapore, we are fortunate enough. Every day, anytime, you can have steak, can have lamb chop and so on, anytime, upon demand. But for these people, poor people, fakir miskin, outside Singapore, it's as if we are giving them a gold bar. It is even more precious than a gold bar, because it is something that nourishes them and they are deprived from it for many days, weeks or months.
I mean that part when you talk about distributing 1/3 to 1/3, because I think before, was it pre-COVID that we had the Qurban at the masjid?
Oh yes,
Before COVID,
that was the last time.
Before COVID.
Before COVID.
Yeah, because I
Live
remember
Qurban.
I was stationed. Yeah, live Qurban. I was stationed at the weighing station. For
You
4 years.
volunteered?
As a volunteer. And I'm usually the head chief for the weighing section. And I realized the importance of the responsibility of ensuring the weight of the sheep. Like I felt like at that point of time, such a heavy responsibility to ensure what's 1/3. When they say 1/3 is for who. And then sometimes if na'uzubillah, some of them may measure sembarang and all that. I think I sort of felt the pressure of really ensuring that all the measurements are accurate lah.
After you skin it, you have to measure the whole
So
sheep.
after they skin it, they actually cut it into smaller pieces.
Oh.
Then when it comes to us, so there's a main weighing station. Then the secondary one where we divide it lah. So mine is at the main one where we apportion what's 1/3, what's 2/3. Yeah. So we either use a calculator or we have a calculation board lah. So that's where the tricky part. Sometimes we have to make that decision on the spot lah. You know, all those decimal. We give more to the to the person who purchase, or Of course, we are very happy when sometimes they say they don't want any or they want full. It's easy. Yeah, just measure the total weight. This is yours. The moment we're 1/3, and then some measurements just not very nice figure lah. You really have to make that call lah.
But you need to cut the pieces more into more EVs. Tak boleh lah.
By the time we reach us, it was in smaller pieces. We just need to like exchange, So sometimes they have unique requests. Macam like they want the
certain parts.
Ribs only.
Okay.
I mean, ribs is nice.
Macam-macam.
So, but sometimes can be changing. For example, they say they want ribs only, but they want 2/3. So can you imagine like where do we find 2/3 of the whole weight of the sheep?
From ribs.
From ribs. This kind of thing sometimes we have to clarify. Can we drop to 1/3, or can we negotiate for other parts of the body? Yeah, but that is then our amanah to make sure that all ribs has at least been included. Because kalau kita dapat sekali, tertinggal ribs. So that's the duty part lah. But of course we hope the Sahibul Qurban understands and forgiving lah, forgiving in a sense.
So it's a closing reflection. Allow me to ask both of you, and maybe something that I should ponder upon. If Allah SWT tested you like Nabi Ibrahim, what would you struggle to let go of?